I want to begin this episode with a dedication. This one is for Ringing Hill, um, the land that held me during the final 2 years of my long season of solitude, recovery, and navigating the spiritual wilderness. Ringing Hill is a little known place tucked between Pottstown and Saratoga, Pennsylvania. And she was once a gathering place full of joy and music and summer laughter, um, a retreat with an old amusement park and community center. And I'm told there were racetracks of some kind. Um, and she's now quiet, a bit forgotten, and neglected in some ways, but not dead, not to me. This land became one of my greatest teachers. She mirrored me. She mirrored parts of me that were in the process of healing when I moved here. And I really began to look more deeply at through sitting with her the parts of me that felt overlooked and taken advantage of and unseen and used. And she taught me how to go into the deepest layers of grief that that I had been repressing for most of my life. And she sat with me in it, and I sat with her in hers because she understood. She had her own that was similar, and she didn't try to fix mine, and I didn't try to fix her. We just were present with each other. And in those 2 years, I became very intimate with her in a way, just intimate with her. And I'd walk with her and sit on her big rocks. The part of Ringing Hill is this place called Ringing Rocks Park, where you can come and bang a hammer on these rocks and you hear the echo, you hear a very specific sound, a ringing sound. And I'd listen to her though in silence. And, she responded, and she also showed me the more of the healing gifts that I carry, first through my hands and through visions, showed me the power of my intention. And eventually she taught me how to stop forcing healing to happen through my own willpower, through trying too hard. She taught me how to direct energy without draining my own life force, and how to let spirit work through me while I stayed rooted and replenished. And so this episode, this offering about reconnecting with the earth, is dedicated to her, for Ringing Hill, for her dear children that she sends to say hello, Charles and Linda, Moses the oak tree, and Grace the little stream, and Tina the little pond, and Rosie the groundhog, and then the little cat that I trust has a name from the people that where the home it goes to at night, where the humans are. And for the quiet places in her that still hold power, and the places that she feels a little less empowered, and for the land that sees me, saw me, and everyone when no one else does, and the places that midwifed me through what is finally ending and prepared me for what's next. Welcome to Together We Awaken, Finding Light in the Dark. I'm Allison Brunner, your soul sister, human guide, and rebirth midwife. And this is episode 12, Let the Earth Love You Back, Reconnecting Spiritually with Nature. And if you don't know me, if this is your first time here, I guide people spiritually and facilitate deep soul level healing. Whether you're navigating a life transition, coming out of burnout, or slowly finding your way back to yourself after giving so much to others, this space is for you. And before we dive in, I'll let you know that if you've been feeling a little untethered, especially challenged lately, emotionally, energetically, or spiritually, there are a couple more ways to receive support right now. And one is through the Hearth, my small group healing circle that meets online. Each circle is limited to just 5 people now, and we come together in a sacred space to rest and reflect and receive spiritual guidance and experience deep energetic healing. And if you've never attended one before, you can use the code WELCOME for $50 off. And if you have come before and you want to bring a friend, you'll both save. You use the code FRIEND and they use the code WELCOME. You can also work with me one-on-one for private sessions. If you're looking for more personal support, just head over to AllisonBrunner.com and learn more there or message me directly. So let's get into today's episode. So I had lived in Philadelphia for 16 years at the point where this story begins, 17 years by the time I left. And I loved that city. As many of you know, it raised me in a way. And it also kept me in a state of constant alert with the noise and the busyness and the trauma that I had carried into adulthood. It all kept my nervous system in fight or flight, constantly scanning for danger, trying to stay one step ahead of disappointment, abandonment, and loss. And even just literally, I was a social worker driving into all the neighborhoods, and I witnessed a shooting. Not just one. I've witnessed actually a lot of things that I won't talk about here. I was eating lunch one day in my car, getting ready to go into a client's home, and yeah. So for years, I couldn't really see the world around me. I mean, I saw it visually, but not through a place of presence or wonder or beauty. To me, trees were just trees and flowers were background and birds were sounds I didn't even register. And it wasn't that I didn't care. It's just that I didn't have the space in my system, my nervous system, to notice. And then something began to shift. There in 2015 was this feeling that started to come through me. And it was both soft and intense at the same time. It was this kind of love that feels so big, it might actually tear your heart open. And yet, somehow, it also surrounded me and made me feel more held than I ever had before in my life. And it was so big, I could barely breathe through it. It made me choke on sobs. And I think I wept for about a solid hour when it happened. And it was the most healing love I have ever experienced. And from that moment forward, everything changed. I started noticing everything. The shapes of leaves, the colors of tree trunks, depending on the light that was shining on them and what season. The way certain branches held shadows, like it was like little pockets of mystery. And I'd wake up early. I'd rush and I'd get up to try and beat the sunrise so I could sit with my coffee and watch it. And I'd watch chipmunks running all over my yard and feel this deep tenderness and so much love. And I started putting out bird seed for the first time in my life, just so I could be near and study and learn the names of all of these birds. I had left the city and moved into this tiny brick cottage in the countryside by 2016, 17. And I had a wide porch and I'd spend hours out there on rocking chairs, watching how the light changed the colors of everything. depending on the hour or the season, like I said, or how the leaves could shift from deep green to golden to silver gray, and I couldn't stop watching. And if you've ever if you've never really noticed something like that before, it's spectacular. Tears came easily in those years after the awakening, and I could turn a corner and see a field filled with mist and feel like I had stumbled upon the presence of God, and I felt love in everything. And after living in the city for 17 years, the first time I ever noticed fireflies in June, not just flickering near the grass as I had growing up, but actually flying all the way up to the tops of the trees, lighting up the entire land I lived on, just sparkling. I gasped, and I felt like I was living inside of magic in real time. There were no words for it. I kept trying to take videos and photographs, hoping to share it online and to show someone, anyone, what I was seeing. I'm sure you've all seen it before, but I hadn't. And wow. So, of course, no iPhone camera that I've ever known could capture something so exquisite. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of bats. They felt like my siblings, and I'd watch them I'd watch them like flit from rooftop to tree and back again, and I'd get so excited, like a little kid spotting a friend across at the playground. And I would even there was this wildlife, or maybe it was, yeah, wildlife refuge called Middle Creek that was north of me, and I knew they had a bat house, and you're supposed to leave this place by sunset, but I snuck in and I took a blanket and waited till the sky turned dark, and I watched the bats for hours. I hope no one from there listening will tell on me, but and the first time I ever heard an owl, this was in 2018. I couldn't stop calling back to it. It was so much fun. I spent at least an hour and a half doing a call and response with its songs. And I even recorded them on my phone. I know that I still have it. So that I could replay them. It delighted me that much. And when my heart felt heavy or broken, I'd drive out to Speedwell Forge Lake, and I'd lie on the earth right on my belly and feel the heartbeat of Mother Earth under me. And I'd sit outside during thunderstorms like they were a gift just for me, like my own private show. And it probably seemed weird to anyone who any of my neighbors, but after all those years living in Philadelphia, where I loved thunderstorms, there were thunderstorms, the sky had never put on a show like this. And it was something else, undescribable. It was like, nature's theater, and I didn't want to miss a second of it. Nature held me in the places that people hadn't. And for the first time, I was feeling this softness and wildness and belonging. So here we are, by the time you hear this, June 2025. And even if you haven't been tracking it closely or didn't even hear about it, you might be feeling something that I'm about to talk about. Like your nervous system is louder than usual, and you're more tired and wired and emotional than you can explain. And your body doesn't quite know how to land, or like something inside of you is trying to shed or purge, but you don't know what that is. And I want you to know that you're not imagining it. The energy right now is intense. There's a friend of mine and I who joke about that. It's been, everyone's saying how intense it is because it's been for years, but it's become increasingly more so. There's been an increase in solar activity, solar flares, geomagnetic storms, and spikes in the Earth's Schumann resonance. And if you've never heard of any of this before, it's okay. You don't need to know the science. Just know that when the Earth's frequency shifts, we feel it in our bodies, in our emotions, in our sleep patterns, and in our energy levels for sure. I'm just coming off of a nap. And astrologically, we are in a fiery chapter. Whether it's literal fire signs activated in the sky or the energetic signature of transformation, this year has been full of heat. And with heat comes pressure. Things rise to the surface and old patterns burn away. And sometimes it can feel empowering, and other times it's thoroughly exhausting. And this is why grounding matters so much right now, and letting your body remember that it's part of something ancient and wise. Because fire energy is not bad, it's powerful, potent. It's the energy of awakening and releasing, but it needs a container, it needs roots, and it needs earth to cool and hold it. Otherwise, it can spin us out. And nature is that container. When everything feels like too much, nature brings us back into a slower, rhythmic space. And we don't need to live in the woods or go off grid to connect with it. It can be as simple as sitting by a window or stepping outside barefoot for a couple of minutes, or even placing your hands on a tree and just breathing. These aren't just, sweet little rituals, they're real medicine. So maybe you're listening to all of this and thinking that, that sounds beautiful, but I live in a city, or I barely have 5 minutes to myself. I'm running a household and just trying to get through my job. And honestly, I feel numb. And if that's you, I get it. You don't have to move to the country or hike the Appalachian Trail to feel the presence of the earth. Nature is everywhere, even in the cracks of a sidewalk or through the glass of your window, even in a house plant that's half alive on your counter. And there's no wrong way to begin this or do this. But I took some notes on some ideas to possibly help with this. So, the first thing, obviously, step outside and let your bare feet touch the ground, even if it's just for 1 minute. Let yourself feel it. This, notice how it changes you. This simple act helps your nervous system recalibrate, and it pulls that frenetic energy from your body, the stress, the electromagnetic frequencies, the positive ions that can keep us feeling frayed. um, Pick one thing in nature and notice it every day. It could be a tree outside your window, a bird you hear in the morning, or the moon as she changes shape. And pay attention like it's a friend, because it is. Um, Sit in silence and listen. If you can get to a park or just an open space, sit and close your eyes. You don't have to meditate or anything special. Just listen. Let the sounds of nature reach you. Connect at the heart. Breathe into and out of your heart and just listen. Hear the rustling of leaves, or the birds chirping, the way, the wind touches everything. And these sounds will repattern your nervous system and can bring you back to a feeling of home. Uh, these glasses aren't strong enough to see my notes. Okay. Touch something that's alive. You're putting your hands on tree trunk, running your fingers through grass, holding a stone in your palm. You can just pick up any stone that you are drawn to outside. And let this be a reminder that you are part of it all and you belong here. And certainly, leave your phone behind and go on a 10-minute walk without a podcast, without music, without calling anyone or texting, and just let yourself be with what's around you. And let nature speak to you without distraction. I have to look closer. And tend to something. If you have a plant and you water it, do it slowly. Talk to it. If you have a garden, really put your hands in the dirt and just take some breaths there. Feel the relationship between you and the earth. If you don't have a garden or a plant, try placing a small bowl of water outside for the birds or the animals, and give care to the earth, even in small ways, just to rebuild a sacred relationship. And speak to the earth out loud. Tell her what you're holding, what hurts, what you long for, and pause and see what you notice in your body, your breath, the space around you. There's a real relationship. You don't have to just feel connected. You can talk to her. And if you stay with this long enough, this noticing and this listening, this opening, something happens on a spiritual level. Because when you build a real relationship with the earth, it starts to reshape your relationship with everything, with your past, your inner child, the parts of you that have never known safety or belonging, and it becomes a kind of reparenting, one that allows you to unfold at your own pace and in your own rhythm. For me, the sun and the wind refathered me. The waters and the moon and the earth remothered me. And for a while, I used to imagine that all 5 of these beings were riding in the car with me. In the Indian mystical tradition, they're known as universal beings: Father Sun, Mother Earth, Father Wind, who can also be Mother Wind, Mother Waters, or Grandmother Moon. And I didn't just imagine them, I called them in. I'd be driving through the countryside on my break between sessions with clients, heading to this sweet little coffee shop called Copper Cup to get iced tea. And they'd be with me, and I could feel them. One moment, as my cat makes an appearance. Hold on a second. I knew she wanted to get in my lap. So where was I? So yeah, I was on my way. I was going to the coffee shop, and I would call in the universal beings, moon and sun and wind and Mother Earth and Father Wind, and I would turn on my music and I'd sing, and I'd ask them to sing with me. And I know it sounds loco, but these were some of the most joyful moments of my life. There was laughter in the car, there was light. And when I think back on it now, I honestly wonder, why did I stop doing that? I think the answer is that it healed me so deeply I forgot. It worked. I reintegrated parts of myself that were hurting, and I felt whole again. And once my own presence took up the full space inside of me, well, there really wasn't much room left in the car. And and I mean that literally. If I kept inviting them in, they would have had nowhere to sit. That's how full I became. And that's how much they gave me. And you don't have to do this the way that I did, but cat hair on my face. But you might feel drawn to one of these beings. And if you do, start there. Oh my gosh, it's always pollen or cat hair. So here's what each one taught me. Maybe they'll offer something similar to you. So Father Son reminded me to stop taking life so seriously. He taught me that every single day can feel like vacation and that joy is important. And he laughed when I was overthinking and encouraged me to celebrate each day just for being here. And, in winter, he felt farther away, but even then, I still felt him. His laughter wasn't booming. It was like it was like across a football field kind of a sound. And in the summer, he was closer and warmer and a lot more playful, but he was always there. And Grandmother Moon reminded me of my beauty. Every time that I would whisper to her, "My God, you're so beautiful," she'd answer, I'm only reminding you of your own." And she mirrored my mystery and my magic and my femininity and told me that she was my mirror. And she held my aching heart and reflected my light, and even in a dark day, I was still glowing like the moon. And Father Wind helped me reimagine what a father could be. He showed me that masculine energy can be kind and strong at the same time, and taught me how to let go and stop trying to grip everything into place. And, living on top of a hill where I lost power here in the 2 years I lived here, more often than anywhere else I'd ever lived, he showed me that true power wasn't about control, it was about surrender. And Mother Waters quieted my mind and met me during heartbreak and illness and betrayal and grief. And Mama Atlantic specifically gave me permission to rest and feel passionate love, even without a partner. I would bring my lawn chair and umbrella to the beach and plan to read a book, but in every single time I would end up just staring at her and wouldn't pick up the book. I was transfixed, my feet in the sand, and I was fully soothed. I floated in lakes when my body ached with something that was like fibromyalgia, and the heat and the softness helped me rest. And I'd bring berries and cucumber sandwiches and drink iced tea and listen to the Latin music around me and laughter drifting across the water. And it transported me. And in the Andean mystical tradition, we have a nature mother and a nature father. And my nature mother is named Cadorus Creek in York County. And I would visit her and I would feel her rocking me and soothing me when I went out on boats. And once when I was saying goodbye to head back home, I could actually feel her sorrow, and it surprised me. It was moving because I hadn't known that a creek could feel that way, but she did for me, and I did too. And my father, my nature father, is Stonehead Mountain in Micho State Forest. And on our first meeting, I was coming down out of the mountain and I heard a child laughing in the distance, followed by a man saying, "You're quite the trailblazer, aren't you?" And I never saw anyone. I never saw any humans attached to those voices. But I knew, because my mentor let me know in advance that this could happen, I knew that the message was for me. And on another occasion when I was there eating lunch on a rock, all these kind men passed me on the trail. So one after another, offering just kind words and or encouragement, like commenting on what I was eating. That looks really delicious. Oh, you look like a good cook, and enjoy it. And and I knew it was him. He was communicating through them. He was saying, I see you and I honor who you are. He was being fatherly. And while my human father might have misunderstood me, my nature father was proud of me. And he called me a trailblazer, and I believed him from then on out. I had to edit out what I was about to do next. I was going to take you through a guided meditation, but I'm running low on time. So maybe I'll do a separate recording for that. But this path of reconnecting with nature, and feeling the love of spirit through the earth in a more feminine way, is it's not about doing any fancy ritual or anything extravagant. It's just about allowing it to be real. And you don't have to go on a retreat or take an elaborate vacation or find the perfect forest trail. Just start where you are. Step outside, look up, breathe the air. Place your hands on something alive and speak to it like it's listening, because it is. And if you want to keep exploring this kind of connection with me, I'd love to welcome you into the Hearth, my small group healing circle I was talking about before, that meets online, because we work with the universal beings, the earth and the sun and the moon and the winds and the waters and many other aspects of spirit. So if you're also called to the one-on-one work, just go to AllisonBrunner.com. But one quick thing before we close, just a little personal share, as if everything I haven't been sharing thus far has not been personal. I am recording this ahead of time because at the end of May, I'm moving to a new town. You'll get this after that. And while it looks like I'll be able to keep posting episodes every week, if you notice that I skip a week or go quiet for a bit, it just means I'm probably surrounded by boxes and bubble wrap and trying to ground myself in a brand new space. But also, as summer is approaching, I'm thinking that I will probably do this every other week instead of every week. To heck with algorithms, because the summertime is my favorite time of year, and it's really important for me to be out on the earth, in the water. So thank you for your grace with that, and thank you for walking this journey with me. Remember that you are never, never, never alone. And Mother Earth has been waiting for this moment for you to acknowledge her and receive her and let her mother you and seek counsel and love and presence from her. She knows you. She's known you through all space and time, every lifetime, all your ancestors, everything about you. And she loves you. And she's right here with you.